rapper, and Alan Stone. He's just released his first album called Untidy Soul. Some of you remember seeing him recently on the James Corden show, performing from that album. And it gives me great joy and great pride to welcome to the Bebe Means Business Show, Mr. Samm Henshaw.
Hello. Hey.
Hi, Samm.
Hey. I don't know whether I call you Auntie or not on this, because I feel
No, just call me Bebe on this. It's fine.
Ah, cool. Amazing. Yes,
you get a one-day free pass.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to do this. I know how busy you are. And as you know, we've been trying to put this together for about a year now. But you are always in the air, so it's been really difficult to do that. You've had a lot on your plate. Okay, we're going to jump right into it, because you know, there are a lot of people listening, a lot of young people listening. They want to hear from you. How did you get so far so soon? Tell us your journey.
So far so soon. It's weird, because when you say so soon, I'm like 7 years later. I'm like, I've still got so much I'm trying to like do. So I think here's like a bit of my backstory, I guess, is I grew up in church. My dad is a pastor, and I learned how to play music in church. I learned how to just, you know, become a musician and instrumentalist, and then later on a singer through going to church. I started leading worship and stuff in my church at maybe the age of 17, 18, maybe even a little younger. I was playing drums from when I was about 4. Excuse me. And then I went to uni to study music when I was 18. And when I went to study music, I went with no intention of like being in the music industry, because I didn't really know how you did it. You know, from my generation growing up, that was not something that was as easy as it is now. We didn't have like those spaces where you can just, you know, social media wasn't what it is now. And, you know, to be fair, growing up, I didn't even have social media for a period of time in my life. So I didn't know how you got into the music industry. I didn't know how you connected with anyone in the music industry. I didn't know what the steps were to get to that stage. So, yeah, I remember growing up, just, you know, I remember going to uni and choosing to study music, because I was like, well, I'm passionate about music, I'm good at music, and I guess if there's anything that I can do with it, it'd maybe be like teach in some type of way, do you know what I mean? Because I had the knowledge of music and stuff. So I was like, all right, let me study in uni with this sort of intention of having a degree so I could later on become a teacher or something, and you know, maybe on my own terms. Maybe I was like doing tuition, tutoring and stuff like that. So started, you know, studying in uni, and I think within like my first few months, I lived with producers and ended up just like creating music with them. We would just like we were just making music all the time. There was never a point in which we weren't making music, to the point that we were missing some lectures. So I end up also suddenly start putting some stuff out on YouTube, and then I think one of my friend's brothers saw it, and he's a manager, so he ended up contacting me. And I was kind of like, nah, leave me alone. I'm in uni, I'm enjoying this. And you know, when you hear stuff about the music industry, you're instantly like, I don't trust anyone. So I was kind of like, please, respectfully leave me alone. Maybe it wasn't that respectful, but I was just like, leave me alone. And then over time, he just started putting in sort of like the rounds and the effort to like try and show me stuff and just be sort of like a friend and a mentor, essentially. And then I think over time, like a relationship built with us where we just became friends, but like he was this friend that had all this knowledge about the music industry. And suddenly now I'm like, oh, I can actually get into the music industry. Like I didn't even realize that was even what was happening. So by like my second year of uni, I've got like a little bit more knowledge of this world. And then I started doing shows and stuff like that, and was gaining a bit of traction here and there in London, I would come in. I studied in Southampton, so I'd come in from Southampton to London. I would study. I would do some shows, and then I'd head back. And I did that for like the whole of my second year. And then by my third year, I had basically flunked on like a lot of classes. So when I was approaching my third year, they were like, "If you don't redo all of this stuff, if you don't redo like your exams and like coursework and all that sort of stuff, you're gonna fail." I was like, "All right, cool." So I basically spent summer like redoing everything. And then my parents had a conversation with with my management, and they were like, "Sam can't do any more shows." And they were like, "We're not the ones making Sam do the shows, he's just doing it himself." So then my third year of university, I basically didn't do any shows. But there was this one thing, there was one part of my dissertation that involved me needing to do a show for it. And so basically my managers at the time, or they're still my managers now, but basically at the time we hadn't made an official agreement contractually and stuff yet. Yeah. So, but they basically invited like half the industry down to this show.
Wow.
So I do this show, mind you, this is literally just for uni, but they've invited half the industry down to it. And by the time I'm like done, I didn't realize this, but basically I later on learned that like maybe 5 or 6 labels were there, like head label, like big labels were there, and all of them wanted to sign me.
Wow.
Right after this show. So long story short, I meet a bunch of them, like this is like a few weeks or maybe a month after the show. I didn't realize it had happened. I meet a bunch of them, and then end up choosing to go with Sony Columbia.
Okay.
And they were like, "Oh, okay, let's get signed." And I was like, and I guess my parents and I, we just kind of agreed. We were like, "No, I'm going to finish uni first, get a degree. Once I graduate, then I'll sign." And they waited. And so by the time I'd left uni, literally as soon as I left uni, I signed a record deal. I'd also signed a publishing deal when I was in my second or third year of uni, I think, my second year. So by that point, I actually had like quite a bit of money. I was actually quite financially sound for a uni student. Do you know what I mean? Who's got all these, crazy bills and stuff to pay. So I didn't have a job. I tried to work some jobs in my first year, but like my second year, once that came in, I didn't even need to work. So I had that. And then by the time I'd signed by the time I graduated and signed my deal, I basically ended up getting an accountant and just said, because it was a lot, I was given a lot of money for a 21-year-old to just sort of manage by himself. So I ended up getting an accountant, and the first thing she said to me was, "You need to turn this into a limited company and basically create a business." Obviously, for tax purposes and stuff, but
Okay, so there's just so much in that I just wanted to tear apart, honestly, so much in what you said. One of the things was the fact that you actually went to uni and you finished it. I think that's important because a lot of our young people, they have an idea, and it's a good idea, and they want to run with it, and then they think that they need to drop everything and then just run with that. But in your case, you actually finished uni, so that's one thing. 2 is the whole issue of being able to monetize your gift. I'm a strong believer of that, and I think you've shown that, that recognizing your gift and then looking for ways to monetize it. Then just keep on doing what you're doing, putting stuff out there on YouTube, getting your name out, that kind of thing. Just keep on doing that. There was something interesting that you said. You said you didn't have the intention of going into music per se. You wanted to, you were thinking maybe you'd be a music teacher. And I was listening to T.D. Jakes some time ago, and he was talking about how to discover your gift and all that. And he was saying a lot of people are they're often confused. What is my purpose? What is my gift? That kind of thing. They're not sure which path to go down. But he was saying that if what you're doing now is not the thing, keep on doing what you're doing, because it will lead to the thing. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's funny whenever I have conversations with people about gift. I think sometimes it's really good to understand what a gift is as well. I think a lot of people's perception of the idea gift means, oh, I need to be like at the forefront. And it's interesting because we live in a generation where a lot of young people will be like, oh, there's people on all these social platforms and they're all doing all these incredible things, and it's their gift. And it's like, I don't think that necessarily that everyone's gift is different. And even even the Bible says that. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's biblical. It's not this idea that we need to be at the forefront. It's not this idea that we need to be an actor, and we don't need to be in like the creative world. We don't need to be in like the media or anything in order to have a gift. You know what I mean? Like, your thing could be numbers. That's a gift. Do you get what I mean? Your thing could be bringing people together. That's a gift. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's so when it comes down to the idea of like recognizing your gift, it's like truly recognize where you are actually blessed and gifted and maybe better in that area than other people.
That's it. I think that just about sums up what a gift is. What is it that you know how to do, that comes to you easily, that you make look naturally good, that somebody else would struggle to do?
Exactly. That's it's a God-given ability.
It's a God-given ability.
You don't need to try with.
That's it. You can hone it, but it is naturally there.
Yeah,
you're so right. And for all the young people that are listening, that's what you need to sit down and think about. What is my gift? And like Samm said, you don't have to be in the limelight. You really don't. It could be cooking. It could be working with kids. It could be anything. You don't have to be in the limelight all the time or in the forefront all the time. Your gift, like the Bible says, will make room for you. You don't even have to make too much noise. Your gift will make room for you. Okay.
That's biblical as well. We don't have to present everything that we're... Sorry to cut you back. It's biblical as well. We don't have to present everything that we're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's sometimes use your gift to serve others. I think that's really what our gifts are for.
I love that.
Do you know what I mean? Our gift isn't... I remember reading a devotional, and that was literally the line. That's all it says. It says our gift was not made for us. It was made to serve others. And so once you can also understand that as well, then and truly understand that, then you'll change your approach with why, like your intention for using your gift will change as well. And I think that's really important to be aware of. Yeah.
Use your gift to serve the many. That's basically, use your gift to serve the many, and the money will come, because too many people, especially young people, are focused on the money. And yes, we got to make money, I understand that, but if you concentrate on honing the gift makes room for the money. It's not usually the other way around. It's the gift that leads to the money. Okay, just to let you know that this is a live show. Listen, if you've ever wanted to ask a rock star any questions, this is your opportunity. So get your questions in. Just type them. If you're watching us on Facebook, get your questions in. On Facebook, we are on, where are we? Sorry, our Twitter handle is Star Radio UK. Or if you want to text or WhatsApp, it's on 07539 661744. That's 07539 661744. Or if you're watching us through Facebook, please just type your questions in the chat, and hopefully Samm will answer them. Okay. All right. Actually, let's take a break, because I want to hear from your new album.
To so many friends, and I've had this conversation so many times, the music industry is not serious. Like, it's a creative thing. Like, we are creatives, which means we're allowed to do what we want. Like, it's one of those rare worlds where we can be who we want to be and express ourselves in a way that we would like. It's like a rare career where I I don't have to do something if I don't want to do it. That doesn't mean there won't be like a consequence if I, you know, if I choose to not work for like, if I choose to not make music for like a year, you know, there's going to be like a repercussion to that, which is essentially, oh, music won't come out, which means I won't be able to tour, which means I won't be able to like promote anything, which means I probably won't make any money from that. Do you get what I mean? But
yeah.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't, like, the idea of needing, because we're expressive beings as creatives, it means we can do what we're feeling and we can present ourselves based off of what we're feeling. So that doesn't mean that we have to present ourselves in a particular light if we don't want to. Okay. And I've learned that more and more the older I've gotten, is that like I have a choice. Do you know what I mean? If I understand my brand and I know how I'm going to present myself and know how I want to be seen and how I want to be presented, and like what you were talking about earlier on and stuff, then I have the choice to do that. There is no one that actually can dictate or control that, especially in my position now, because I'm there's no label that like is controlling what I do. There's no like puppets or anything. So it's just sort of like, we're not puppets. So it's like, no, you have more choice than you think. You always have more choice than you think. And I think
that's a good message to get out to the young people. You have more choice than you think. Don't fold. Don't feel you have to compromise just to earn a buck. You can be authentic and true to who you are and still succeed in the industry. I think that's a good message to send out to them. Thank you very much for that. Sam, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned something earlier. You were saying that when you decided to face your music head on, and the first thing you did, you got an accountant, and your accountant said you've got to set up a limited company. I think that's really important, because we got all these kids running around who think, I'm going to make a song, put it on YouTube, I'm going to get 1 million hits, and I'm going to become a millionaire, and everything is just going to fall into place. They don't understand the business side of the industry. Can I ask you, what business skills have you had to develop as you've gone along?
Oh, man. So many. Money management's obviously like one of the most important ones, just understanding and knowing where your money is, knowing where it's going, you know, just being on top of that. I think learning how to deal with people as well is like one of the most important ones, because you have no business without people, I guess. I think one of the ones I'm finding most difficult actually with is actually like, and I guess it comes under like dealing with people, but it's like the moral side of stuff when it's mixed with business, because there's certain things that you're like, I think business in general is kind of an kind of an exploitative sort of world and realm, or it can be, and so you kind of have to, I don't know, there's times where things happen and you're like, oh, was that the right thing to do? Or like, is this the right way to deal with this based off of just morals, not based off of money or anything like that? It's just like, am I treating this person correctly, or have I been treated correctly? And I think based off of a lot of interactions that I've had in the past in regards to like just business interactions and stuff, I've walked away feeling like, they done me dirty. I don't want to be that person to someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's true. Like, you want to be able, and I don't know. Like, I want to make sure that no matter what I'm doing, people are treated fairly and they're treated right. And yeah, I don't know. That's one thing that I guess I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, I think there's tons of things. Employment, like employing people. That's a big one. Again, it's everything comes down to people, because we're just dealing with people at the end of the day. And I think it's like, if I don't know how to, I don't know, the money side of stuff, there's always going to be money in it. Like, money's not going to be, I don't know, and I don't say that in an arrogant way, but it's just sort of like, if you're working in business, there is going to, like, you're going to have to deal with money. Do you know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, how are you treating the people that you're working alongside, you're working with? Okay. You know, so I guess those are like the things that I'm trying to like.
So money management, learning how to like build your team, how to treat people
Team's
right.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, team is
How
important.
to treat people right. How to recognize when somebody's trying to take advantage of you. These are all the things that are vital business skills. So important. So important. Thank you for sharing that. That kind of leads to my next question. What failures have you had? Because I'm a big believer that we kind of fail forward to success. And when especially if you're in an industry that you're not familiar with, especially in an industry like yours, what kind of failures have you had, and how did you handle those failures?
Excuse me. Oh man, I think I'm still failing in a lot of areas. Again, some of it has been like poor choice of judgment of like bringing people into your team that like maybe you shouldn't. One that I find really interesting, actually, that I feel like most people don't think about is actually holding on to people. And I think like holding on to people because I like a lot of the people that I work with are friends and we're close, and I've got a very small circle of people that I work with. But I've had situations where I've just tried to hold on to some people because it was like, oh, I'm comfortable with you, and like you're not doing the best job, and you're not doing what I need you to do or what I want for my team and the brand or whatever. But I like you, so I'm going to keep you around. And sometimes that's quite detrimental.
Wow.
And so I think holding on to people is a thing that I'm learning to like just deal with, because as much as I say like you want to be nice to people and have like the morals, I guess a moral is also being honest, and that's being honest with yourself and being honest with the people that are around you. And so there's certain people that you might keep that aren't doing you any favors, and you just have to be like, you're not helping me and I'm not helping you, keeping you around, so we need to cut this off. And
that's interesting. That is, you're right. People often don't think about that, but that is interesting, and that is vital, actually. I think if you don't deal with that, it can become detrimental to everybody concerned. It's actually, it also stops the person you're trying to let go, or you should be letting go. It stops them from growing and moving to the next level of their life. Yeah, and if they've outlived their usefulness, for want of a better phrase, with you, then there's no point in holding them on. I remember reading a book many years ago by Iyanla Vanzant, and she had the same dilemma. She had a PA that had been with her before she became famous, and she was desperate to hold on to her. But in all honesty, when it came to the actual work, if she was looking at the job dispassionately, the woman had outlived her usefulness. She'd gone as far as she could with that journey. But, she was having sleepless nights as to how she was going to tell this woman, not knowing that secretly the woman felt the same. And she was looking at how she was going to tell Iyanla. They resolved it in the end, but just the amount of anxiety that was caused around that, and the damage that it was causing both of them. So you're so right. It's not something that we often think about, but it's true. This might be a good time for those of you who are in business to have a look at your team and see, actually, does this team still serve me well, or do I need to put some fresh air into it, or change some of the people around, or bring whatever it is that you need to do. But I think every so often we should do that. We should look at the people that are working with us as actually we're no longer serving. And
honestly, it's not something that needs to be about you all the time. It's sometimes like, am I serving this person, keeping them around? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you need to analyze it and look at it like, have I done right by you? Have you excelled being with me, or have you just essentially been doing me a favor? And I kind of, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's also just looking at it from all across the board and making sure that, like, everyone's being dealt with in the right way. Do you know what I mean? Everything's being looked at correctly. But yeah, that's one thing that I always found interesting, and but like I definitely like messed up in that area where I'd kept people way longer than I needed to, and it was like, oh, I kept you because you're my friend, innit? And it didn't, it wasn't, do you know what I mean? It wasn't benefiting me. It was just like, oh, yeah, they're friends. And you know, and then it gets harder when you suddenly have to be like, I need to let you go. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's stuff like that.
Okay. I also, we've talked a little bit about failure. I want to talk about success. Because a lot of people are under this very strange impression that, you know what, let me just make my first million, everything is going to be great, and I'm, you know, all my problems are suddenly going to disappear, and I'm going to be happy, and all the rest. I think this bit is quite important to me because of the whole issue of mental health at the moment and the importance thereof. I don't know if you've been following the story of Chesley Christ, who was the former Miss USA. She was, I think, Miss USA 2019.
She the one that jumped off the...
Yes. I mean, the woman was a beauty queen. She was also a very accomplished lawyer. She contributed greatly to charitable causes. So if you're looking at success, I think this woman was the epitome of success. And yet, like you said, she threw herself off, I think, a 20-story building a few days ago. So I want you to talk a little bit about how do you handle the pressure? Because I've been to a couple of your concerts, and you know, just having all those people around you all the time wanting a piece of you would drive me insane. How do you handle the pressure, and how do you keep your mental health strong? Or have you had struggles in that area, if you feel that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I definitely have. Like, my mental health has been all over the place. I ended last year like severely depressed, and but I'll say the few things that I will say, and I want to just touch on the point that you said about success and the idea of, like, the thing that I learned with success is, obviously everyone knows this. I guess it's easier like to say than it is to sort of truly recognize, but like it is relative. Like, success really is relative. For when I was with the label, my song Church, the music video, I don't know what the exact number is. It's probably like 30. It's probably like 30 something million on Spotify, and it's probably like 18 million, 20 million or something on YouTube. Like, it's got views, it's got numbers. You know, from certain standards, that's me doing exceptionally well. Do you get what I mean? There's, if I have to compare that to a lot of people, there's not people with those same types of numbers. If I wanted to sit here and like talk about the success that I have, it's like I've got 316,000 YouTube subscribers. Do you know what I mean? There's like I can do that. I can do that all day. I can tell you the numbers. I can tell you the facts. But what I learned was, especially being with the label, I was reaching all them numbers, and I still got dropped by the label because it wasn't enough for them. From my perspective, and from a lot of people,
phenomenal.
From my and from people that know me as well, you know, from people that even don't know me, I've had situations where like people have asked my sister about what I do, and she'll be like, "He's a musician," and they're like, "Oh, that's cute." Until they see the numbers and they see the stuff that I've done, and they're like, "Oh no, he's actually like a serious musician." So from a lot of people's perspectives, I've done and I was doing extremely well, but from the labels, it was like, "Nah, he's not doing good enough." Do you get what I mean? So the idea of success
is relative.
Is extremely relative. So once I left the label situation, I'm telling you now, I've had the best 2 years of my entire career. I've been in the music industry now 7 years, and this year, and so 2020 up until now, it's been the most fun I've had. It's been the most peace I've had within the music industry, because I don't have to deal with people whose idea of success is different. Again, it comes down to perspective. So now when people ask me what I'm most, and listen, I can sit here and I can say all types of stuff. I've worked with Pharrell Williams. I've worked with I've worked with Quincy Jones. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've done things. So I can talk about those things and be like, "Oh, this is success." But honestly, the thing that I found most successful about what I've done was completing an album I've been working on for pretty much the entirety of my career and putting it out like 2 weeks ago. And I did it through my own label, financed the majority of what people have seen, the music videos, everything like that. I've been financing it. I financed my own tours. And that to me is success.
Yes.
I don't know how much I'm going to make from it. You know, it'd be nice if I make a lot. It'd be like either way. But the fact that I'm also even still able to have a career. I'm 27. I'm turning 28 later on this month. The fact that I'm still able to have a career at this age. The fact that I'm able to take care of myself. I can take care of my family and stuff like that. Like that to me is like success. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not like, you know, I haven't got all these crazy things. I don't have like these crazy cars and all that sort of stuff, crazy house or nothing like that. But I've accomplished something that I set out to do.
Yes.
And so my point is really just, most people's idea of success is not even their own idea of success.
It's an imposed one.
It's an imposed one. So 9 times out of 10, what you think is success isn't even what you're aiming. It's not even what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So you're so busy watching some, like, a billion other people, and comparison is one of the biggest problems, I think, for me and my mental health. Is like constantly watching other people. And I have to take regular breaks from like social media and stuff because of it. But when you're so concerned watching other people's, do you know what it is? It's like when you're a kid, you're the most innocent, you know, and most everything that comes out of you is fully authentic. Have you ever like sat down and spoken with a child and they just say exactly what they think? They might look at you and they're like, I don't know, your head's big. They're not trying to be mean. They're just making an observation because they're just truly authentically themselves.
Yeah.
And until they start getting put around other people and people start saying things to them and they start hearing things, it then starts to shape and form and change the way that they think. And suddenly they now start thinking based off of someone else's opinion or someone else's idea of whatever it is. It's the same thing with success. I think that, like, if you don't, you know, if you're not grounded in what you know and believe and want for yourself, you're always going to be chasing someone else's idea of success, and it's going to leave you depressed. Because if today you look at someone that has gone, I don't know, let's say there's someone on this call today that's maybe like 27, it's a 27-year-old woman, and she has she's not married yet. She doesn't have children yet. But all her friends do. She's seeing all her friends do, and then she's seeing all these other people, and even maybe even she doesn't own her own business. Let's say all of that sort of stuff as well. And she's watching all these other people do that type of thing. And that's making her feel discouraged and depressed. But it's like, who's to say that those things are what you need now? And who's to say that those things are even for you? You don't need to own a business. That's one thing that I find extremely frustrating when everyone's an entrepreneur. Suddenly. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to be if you don't want to be. And you don't need to be if that's not your calling and if that's not your gift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so, I don't know. I'll keep rambling. Just
no, it's fine. I think you're so right, because I believe that success is when you have accomplished what you were supposed to do, or you are continuing to work towards the accomplishment of what you were supposed to do. Exactly. And you're right, because I can't use somebody else's standards for my life. God gave me a specific gift.
Exactly.
I was reading something the other day, and they were saying that a fish will seem like a failure if you ask it to fly. Because that's what he was ordained to do.
Yeah. That's exactly
what he was ordained to do. So you find out what you are supposed to do with your life, and get busy being the best that you can be at that. It reminds me, what you said reminds me of the parable of the talents. Some returned 30-fold, some returned 60-fold, and there was no rebuking the one who returned 30-fold, because that's what he had the capacity to do.
Yeah.
The Bible said that they did according to their ability.
Yeah.
So that's what he had the capacity to do. He wasn't called to produce 100%. He was called to produce 30, and he produced the 30. So I think we need to be comfortable with that. What am I called to do? What percentage, or how far am I supposed to go? And make sure that you do that, rather than looking at Samm Henshaw and who has sold this.
And just to add on to that point though as well, like when you look at what the world is made up of, the world is made up of people that are capable of doing very different things, and they're capable of doing them at different standards. So it's like that's literally what makes the world what it is. That's literally what makes us who we are. And so to think that you need to do what someone else is doing, it you need to do it at their level and their standard. It's like we're actually all so unique. Yeah, and that's truly how God has created us. That to look at what someone else is doing and try and copy what they're doing is insulting to God, essentially, because you're not looking at what He's given you and said, "Thank you for this. Let me go and use it." Do you know what I mean? It's kind of disrespectful, and so I think we have to be more just in our own focus on what we've been given. Yes.
Yeah. You spoke a little bit about family there. I know you come from quite a close-knit family. How important has that been, because of the industry that you're in? How important is it to have family around you? Does it keep you grounded, or is it a hindrance? I know it can work both ways. I mean, when I was reading the story of Britney Spears recently, and the whole thing surrounding her relationship with her dad and all that, I mean, that was a hindrance. But in your case, how do you...
In line to any type of degree. That's the only thing that even if I fall off brings me back. You know, my mum always said this thing to me. She said, you can't pay me. My mum helps me with like my finances and stuff.
Close family around you.
And so I think someone asked me one day, they were like, what would you describe your sound as? And I basically said, randomly, it just kind of came out. I was like, oh, Untidy Soul. And that just stuck with me. And I was like, okay, cool. Like maybe one day that might be of use for something. And then I held on to it. And then when I needed to come up with an album title, that was sort of just there. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me put that there. And then I think as I went on to sort of think about like the deeper meanings of it and stuff, that like is actually where musicians make money or artists make money. So it's not like, yes, you'll make it, especially like, so if you're signed, you'll make money through, well, the label's making more money through streams than the artist is the long and short of that.
Can you say that again so that I can hear that, so the young people can hear that?
So if you're signed, especially to a major label, the label is going to be making more of the money than you are. They're going to be seeing way more of the money than you are. It's like, that's the simplest way of putting it. It's never going to be, you're not going to put out an album and it does all this great stuff and you expect to like make the majority of that. You're not going to see the majority of it. It's going to be the label that will, because you've got to recoup and stuff. So yeah, the endorsements are incredibly, like, so for example, I did an ad in 2020 for Samsung. I created the music for the Samsung ad. And I don't know if I should say the figure. It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money that we made. And basically it like, how can I even describe, like, I'm still currently living and operating my business with like a lot of that money that came through from that one job.
Okay.
Then think about the fact that I then ended up doing multiple others and way more came after that. So that's literally how I've sustained myself. Do
you have to like the product, or do you just decide, okay, who's paying the most? What is it? How do you decide?
Yeah, I think there's got to be a matter, like, it's got to be both. Do you know what I mean? You have to like what you're doing, and you know, if it's a good check, then take it. But I think, yeah, also for me, I'm not going to put my name on something that I don't endorse or like necessarily support. If there's something that I'm like fully against, you're not gonna see me connected with that. But yeah, for the most part, you know, if I create some music, and what ends up happening as well is like I might write a song that so for example with Samsung, we wrote a song specifically for the ad.
Okay.
I've done stuff for films, TV shows and stuff like that where we've deliberately made stuff for them. And then there's been things where they've approached us because I've created a song in the past that they just love and they want to use it on their ad. And so, for example, I'd created a song called World Is Mine, and there's a show on Amazon called Alex Rider. They approached us and they were like, we want to use this song as our theme tune for the intro of the show. And so that's come through, and now every time the show has a new season, I get a check from that coming out. And so there's loads of different and those are essentially called syncs. It's like synchronizations basically, because it's going from like it's with film and media and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, ads, movies, TV, all of that sort of stuff is really what like pays the bills for me. Okay. Definitely.
All right, we're going to be rounding up soon, but a couple of things I wanted to ask you. One, we got to talk about your love life, because I know there's a lot of girls watching. We got to talk about your love life. What's happening there, Samm? What's happening?
Nothing,
are you seeing anyone? And if you're not seeing anyone, what would you be looking for? And everybody's got their notepad ready. All the girls are got.
You know what? At the moment, I would say, hopefully, by God's grace, I meet someone at some point that's like God-fearing and is amazing and all of that good stuff. But at the moment, I'm kind of just like chilling and enjoying, like not having to deal with. I got out of a 3-year relationship, so you know, listen to my album. It explains everything. You can catch up. You can catch up with where I'm at currently. But yeah, I'm chilling at the moment. I'm not like
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies, you heard that. God-fearing, amazing. Those are the criteria. So if you got those,
very narrow.
And then you got to go through his mom, because you heard his mom is doing a lot for you. You got to go.
Yeah, I can't lie. If you can't get through to my mom, that's it. It's a myth. It's a myth. It's a myth.
Okay. You said something to me recently. We were talking, and you said something. You probably don't even remember this, but it stuck with me. You said, I don't want to be standing on a stage in my 30s and 40s because I have to.
Yeah.
How important is it to be forward-thinking in your finances and to develop different income streams? Can you do that one in a minute? We got 1 minute left.
It's the most important thing ever. I think I read something that said the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. I think that's the thing that I heard. So yeah, I think you can't not afford, if you want to basically make more money and succeed financially, you just have to do more and dive into different areas and realms. Like for example, obviously I'm doing my album's a stream, being an artist is a stream of income. Obviously doing the sync stuff, so I'm writing for ads and stuff, that's a stream of income. Touring's a stream of income. Merchandise is a stream of income. Wow. I'm also about to start on like this creative director project thing, working alongside another business, using my business to like basically fund all of that. So that's another stream of income there, because it will be like an investment, because we're going to basically, through providing that service, we'll basically end up hopefully getting an investment deal with them. And so like that's already 5. So that
sorry, nobody knows what merch is. What's merch?
Sorry, merchandise. So clothing, whatever it is that you want to kind of sell for your brand is essentially merchandise. So yeah, within the first like 3 shows of a 30-date tour, we had made like 11 grand. So
amazing.
There's so many ways. There's so many ways of doing it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've come pretty much to the end of the show. You're touring. Where can we see you?
Yes.
In the UK?
Yes, we are touring. The tour is nearly sold out. So we are going to Manchester, Birmingham, and London. Manchester is going to be the 21st of February. Birmingham's going to be the 22nd of February. That's my birthday, so show up if you really love me. And London is the 24th of February. And yeah, we're going to be doing dates in through the country for a bit in February.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. Samm, I can't thank you enough. It's been such an honor and such a pleasure to have you on the show. We're so proud of you, and we wish you every success. Don't let life dictate to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be here again this time next week with another special guest. It will be Ngozi Okure. She's a writer, an author, and she's written several books on wealth creation. You don't want to miss this. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Bebe Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee